Welcome to Raining Ducks. Here we are. What is today?
Surprised me.
I know. That was the point right there. And the other point is, I just want to give a shout out to our main sponsor, Capital Nissan, right down there on the Parkway and Cherry Avenue. Appreciate their support, and the others as well. We've got Advantage Heating and Air and Electrical, Green Acres Landscape, GA at Home here in Salem. Take advantage of all the things they've got going on over there because I know they have tons of sales happening. So, guys, let's get into the Ducks. Saturday, into the Big House, Michigan. I was nervous about that game.
I was too. Yeah, we were talking about earlier on the way over here. That's a iconic place to play. The Big House. You know, everybody. I hope to go to a game there one of these days. But 110,000 screaming fans. Yeah, that's a tough place to play, and you know you're going up against the defending national champs who haven't looked like the defending national champs this year, but you know they still played well. I thought.
You know, I felt like we were going to blow them out, but there was that little nagging. You know, is the stage gonna get to us? Is that big defensive line gonna get to us? Is what's gonna happen here? Something strange is gonna happen with 110,000 fans yelling at you and stuff, but. No, it really didn't.
Well, I think in the what was it, the second series, Tez Johnson goes down, hurts his shoulder. I guess it's not broken. It doesn't require surgery, so they say he possibly could come back at the end of the season. So hopefully that is the case. But we had Pelham back there taking a punt, and he tried to make something happen and lost the ball. And that changed the momentum. I think if the Ducks got the ball there, and they probably would have just gone down and scored, would have been 14-0, at least 10-0, and that would have squashed it. But as it turns out, they get the ball, on the 30-yard line, 35, and they march down and they score, tie the game at 7-7. So that's when things got a little bit concerning. But Dillon Gabriel, they had a good game plan. He threw the ball on a dime. Last Saturday, and Holden, Stewart, those guys came up when Tez Johnson went down. They got open, and there were a lot of great catches and a lot of great throws. So
Gabriel is very accurate. But we were talking about on the way over just how good the receivers were, and Tez Johnson, that's my man. That is the guy, and he's such a security blanket, and he's always open, and he's so quick, and he gets those extra yards, and it's just so easy. It seems like with him. Yeah. So now you got to replace him. Lowe, I thought Lowe played a really good game. Trayshawn Holden, I'm telling you what, that guy has been working his tail off since the incident.
That's right.
But man, blocking, that guy just brought energy that whole game. I was really impressed with the way he played.
Well, go ahead.
I agree with you, Jerry, and it felt like there was just no drop off in the receiving group. Tez went out, got the injury. Justice Lowe comes in and just boom, catches a pass, and then boom, another pass. And it looks like maybe their timing is a little off between Gabriel and Justice. There was a few missed passes and maybe a couple of misdirection on routes, where Justice thought he was going to go one way and Gabriel thought he was going to go.
We noticed it in the last game too. It's just a little bit of a funky thing where it looks like Justice is sitting down and Gabriel's expecting it to go, but
I think just more practice time, him playing with the first team, getting plugged into Tez's spot in the slot, and I think. By Wisconsin, Washington, I think they'll be pretty much on the same page.
I'd like to see Sadiq in there in the receiving corps because that kid, he's big and he's fast. What a dynamic athlete that guy is.
Yeah, they did that little tunnel pass a couple of times, and man, he's just so fast and he's so big. He grows every week, it seems like. That guy, he's a stud, man.
Yeah, I like how they're now using him in the passing game versus, at the beginning of the year, it was just like, okay, Sadiq's out there, watch the fly sweep or end around or something like that. And now they're actually throwing him the ball. And you're right, once he gets ahead of steam, he's like the juggernaut. Gets ahead of steam and just runs over people. He is a big man.
Good to see Herbert in there, too. Ferguson came back, so that was a plus. So got our tight ends in there into the mix. So running game was better than normal. I think the last drive where that was an important drive going down. I don't know, what was there, 30 seconds left, maybe not even that, when we scored that touchdown. And I'm glad that Dan Lanning did not take a knee. I wanted to have one more point or one more score in there. So I could get my prediction right. 38-17. I did it. It's the first time of the year. It's been a long time since I've been able to do that, and
It was a phenomenal prediction.
phenomenal. I was waiting for that.
You know what?
And add an element to Raining Ducks.
What I liked again is to see more continued development from Noah coming back from that injury, and just I thought he looked really good. I mean, he was running with purpose. He wasn't tentative when he was hitting holes. He bounced a couple. He hit the pile in the middle and bounced it outside, and then just beat the guy into the end zone. I think it was his second run that he did that. But yeah, I thought he looked really good, and I'm glad to see that he's progressing from that major knee surgery he underwent.
So let's look at the Big Ten. Up at the top, Ohio State went into Penn State and took care of business. They had a goal line stand. Penn State, I think, was on the 4-yard line. Couldn't get it in.
Yeah.
I think they wanted pass interference on that last play. No luck. Wasn't pass interference. Just a bad throw by the quarterback. And Penn State, I think they're done. They're going to be in the playoff, but I mean, they're not going to be in the top 4 for sure. They're not going to go to the Big Ten championship game. And so let's talk about that for a minute. Indiana rolled again. These guys, I don't think they're getting enough love because they're scoring over 40 points a game. They're not allowing very many points. And
Right.
so the big game is going to be going into Ohio State, not this weekend, but I believe it's the next weekend. And that's going to be for all the marbles right there.
I tell you, their offense is just relentless, and they stay on the field for so long, and they just march down the field. And you're like, geez, nobody's stopping these guys.
Right.
I'm super impressed with that offense. I didn't watch the defense much, and most of it's highlights that I've seen. So I wonder, you got any insights on the defense at all? I don't know.
Well, just other than they're stopping people, I really don't have anything. I haven't watched them. They haven't
They
been
limited
really,
Nebraska to 7, and they've got a pretty decent offense. And then they
The offense
gave
just
10 to Michigan
stays
State.
on the field, and I mean, it's just there's not that. I'll have to look at the plays of the other teams and stuff, but it just seems like those guys are just always on the field on offense.
It's just a solid offense. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what makes them go. I mean, they don't need that much of a defense. I think because the other team they end up having to throw the ball all the time just to catch up because the game is going to be over. So the running game, I think on their opponents it's been non-existent. So I just think that their offense is just so good that it's just driving Indiana, into victory every week.
Indiana goes to Ohio State, right?
Yes,
Correct.
they do.
So Ohio State, people that slept on them, after last week, and that's a little bit scary. No, they're the real deal. They were ready for Penn State, and they punched Penn State in the mouth.
Yeah. And they even spotted him that pick 6 to begin the game, and still came back.
Two of
and-
them,
yeah.
2 turnovers, a pick 6 and a.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh, they should have been up 14-0, and instead they're, but a little bit of adversity, and they just steamrolled those guys because they really gave it up. I mean, we had a little bit of adversity against Michigan. We, gave up that. It still ticks me off, but and I'm yelling at the TV, Tez, God, Tez. But you throw a true freshman back there, and oops.
I would have liked to have seen Lanning put him back out there just to get his confidence back up. Just say, hey, man, you're freshman. You made a mistake. Get out there. Catch the ball. Do a fair catch. You just catch
Fair
the ball.
Well, he did catch the ball. I mean, I'll give him
He
that.
did.
And then he took off.
Well, he was fighting for extra yards
He was.
too,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah, and Michigan, give them credit. They came out and they hit us hard. They wanted the game. I mean, they played their hearts out and still lost by 21 points. So, but right at the beginning of the game, these guys, they came out. They wanted it. So you gotta give them credit.
we had another injury.
Marcus Harper. Yeah.
He's fine.
He's fine.
He's fine. I just
Dr. Morgan says
well, he's
he is fine.
Well, we looked that up. He walked off the field.
He did.
And Lanning came out and said, later that, he says he's fine. So
Okay, good.
if he says he's fine, he's good. I mean, he's the best offensive lineman that the Ducks have. So you can't afford to lose that guy because the next play when he was out, the next guy up, he got steamrolled.
Oh, Mason
and Dylan
Graham ran him right over.
He got and Dylan got sacked, and so I mean, it's just
And
what
that was,
happens.
Kavika Rogers.
Kawika.
Yeah, it's another name.
There you
I'm
go.
not gonna
His
get.
last name is Rogers.
Yes,
Number 73.
Rogers.
We'll go with that. But yeah, he came in cold, and you got to go up against Mason Graham, who's going to be a day 1 NFL pick, and he just pushed him right back into
It wasn't
Dylan
even a
Gabriel. It was-
contest.
yeah.
Gosh.
But then he completed the game, and I thought he did pretty well. Once he got a few plays and got into the rhythm of the game, I thought he played decent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it didn't feel like we were losing anything.
Right.
It wasn't a sore spot throughout the rest of the game.
exactly.
Well, I think they had to mix it up just a little bit. I mean, I don't think Dylan was like sitting back in the pocket after that either. So, Dylan, him rolling out is actually a really good play in my opinion, just because it gives him the option. He can either throw the ball or he can run the ball, and he's really good at running. And Lowe actually had some really good blocks on the outside to open up some holes for Dylan to run. So, I mean, our wide receivers have to block because the running game on the outside, I think that's going to be key, especially coming down the stretch. We have got to get to the outside and really tire those defensive linemen out.
Yeah.
Play of the game didn't count.
Oh,
Evans one-handed grab.
Man, that was
that
a
was
catch.
unbelievable.
That was
That was a highlight
phenomenal.
reel. It was phenomenal. You can have the kudos on that one. Now
That was so cool. I jumped off the couch. I was yelling at that
What a
one. It was
catch.
so, and then flag on the field.
Yeah.
and it was Harper was illegal man downfield, but when you watch the play unfold, it's like, okay, Dylan's out to the right, okay, he's approaching the line of scrimmage, and I'm sure Harper thought he was just going to run for it and took off down the field to do some blocking, which good for him, but just happened to be that Dylan caught Evan in the back of the end zone for that one-handed grab and had to
So
come back.
what are the takeaways from this one?
It's interesting. When I think about the takeaways, we are a lot better than Michigan.
Yes.
Michigan is an off year, though. They'll be back and stuff. But just looking across the Big Ten in general, USC is terrible. And with the Pac-12 dissolving and four teams coming over, you'd hope we'd represent just a little bit better and stuff. But the Ducks certainly are, and the Ducks are, hey, man. That is a machine. Lanning has got these guys just believing, and they are that good.
And they're getting better each week.
Yeah.
I mean, remember when we started the season at with Idaho at home and Boise State, and we were like, oh man, this is not the team that we were sold when the season started. And they just every week get better, get better, get better. I think we had 2 penalties for 10 yards this week, which, one of them was the illegal man downfield, and the other one, I forget what it was, but
And he was
inconsequential.
barely downfield. He was just kind of like stepping and wasn't really there. Was he there? Was he not there? To me, the announcer said, "Oh yeah, he was definitely over." Well, not really.
Yeah,
But
well,
it is what it is. So
I've heard on several different telecasts that this was a point of emphasis this year. Boy, is it ever. They are really on the ball on that.
Yeah.
It's getting called a lot.
yeah, and to go into the big house and not have a false start, that's pretty good.
it's really good.
So, especially when you get Rodgers in there cold off the bench, and I'm sure Graham was probably talking in his ear at the line, and
I'm going to eat you up.
That's
that's right. So I was impressed with that. The penalties are really good.
I think my takeaway is the resiliency of the Ducks. I mean, whenever there's an issue, they have a problem, somebody scores, there's a fumble, there's whatever. These guys know how to bring it back in, and that's what impresses me about this team. And I think it comes down from the top. Dan Lanning, the coaches, they've really got these guys set, and nothing's going to bother them. They're just going to go out and they're going to do their thing, regardless of the situations that happen, out there on the field. So. That is what I really love about this ball club, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we got going on. So
I feel
down
like the
stretch.
Boise State game was a great builder of character for those guys being down and not going the way they thought it was going to go, and to come back and win that game. I mean, that just shows them, hey, we stick together as a team. We can do this. We can out-talent them.
All right, we got to get out to a break. Appreciate John at Mid Valley Media for producing this for us, and we'll be back after this.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have knee, hip, back, or shoulder pain? Do you hurt just going up and down stairs or getting in and out of your car? What if I told you there was a solution? One that requires no surgery and no downtime.
I couldn't even run 10 steps, without having pain. Just feel results within days.
Contact us today and find out if regenerative medicine is right for you. This could be the first step towards a new and pain-free you.
And welcome back to Raining Ducks. Sweet Jer, Brandon, Jeff. Here we are.
Sweet Jer.
This is so fun, isn't it, Jer?
It is. It's a blast.
Just want to thank our sponsors once again. Capital Nissan, Advantage Heating and Air and Electrical, Green Acres Landscape, G at Home, Mid Valley Media, and Full Access Sports and Entertainment. Good. I got that out of the way. But we appreciate all sponsors. I didn't mean it like that. Good. Okay, so Ducks taking on Maryland. Still number 1 in the country. This is going to be, is this our 3rd week in a row now?
Unanimous number 1
Unanimous.
now.
That's
Finally
right.
got Wilner on board.
That guy.
Yeah, he's not a Duck fan.
Well, doesn't matter if you're a fan or not. It is what it is, and I think the Ducks taking care of business. And I'm telling you, I think that last touchdown against Michigan was crucial because this point spread, you got to beat them by 21. You've got to have a spread there on the road in the Big House. I think that makes a statement, regardless of how much time was left on the clock at the very end there. It doesn't matter because it was a great drive at the end. That thing took up about 5 minutes, the final 5 minutes of the game, and that's a big deal against a good Michigan defense like we were talking about before. So now we've got the Maryland Terrapins. Now, so have we determined what a terrapin is? I mean,
Jerry,
'cause
what's a terrapin?
It's a turtle.
Turtle. See, I
what
thought
kind
it
of
was
a turtle
bird.
is it?
It is a something diamondback, something or the other. I don't know. I looked it up a while ago.
It lives in the brackish waters of the Atlantic coast. I learned that from Sweet Jared, not just 20 minutes ago.
So,
Sweet Jared learned it from Google. But,
well, leave it to Sweet Jared to go to Google. Okay. So what are the Terrapins? They're 4-4. I think they've got 1 win in the Big Ten, and their only win was, I believe, against USC. Well, we were just talking about them in our last segment, how USC is just down. They just lost to Washington up there at Husky Stadium, and that was a last-minute, I think, touchdown by Washington, and they just don't have it. I don't know what Lincoln Riley's doing at USC. He's got all the talent in the world, and this is the 3rd year in a row. He hasn't done jack.
USC's a dumpster fire. You know, Washington is starting to show some
are.
signs of life, too.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
That's concerning.
Yeah. Well, you know, we were talking on the way over here. How does USC not have the best defense in the Big Ten or one of the best defenses? They've got a pipeline, several pipelines, Mater Dei, St. John Bosco, all those talent-rich high schools down there where 20 years ago, USC was like this around LA. You kids aren't going anywhere but to here to USC. And it seems like with Oregon, you know, started with Cristobal going in there and recruiting and getting Thibodeau out of Oaks Christian and Mateo out of, I think, was he St. John Bosco kid?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and so you've got all those dynamic athletes that are now leaving Los Angeles and coming up to Oregon or going to Georgia or Alabama, where that never used to happen before. And so is he just not recruiting the right type of bodies for the Big Ten? You know, we talk about it all the time, big linemen, because you're going up against big linemen in the Big Ten. That's kind of what Big Ten football is known for. Big, beefy linemen, pound you into the ground with the running game. And USC's offense is not that. Their offense is through the air.
There's an awful lot of teams going in and snagging those guys out of LA. It's just, you know, I would go back even further. I remember when Bilotti was here, we used to put up billboards, you know, in LA, and like, why you got a duck billboard in LA? Well, we're setting the groundwork, you know. These kids watching us now, you know.
Well, it's the uniforms, it's Phil Knight. There's so many different factors to that, but it's the Duck brand that's really caused a lot of players to want to come here. And let's not forget Autzen Stadium. That place rocks. And when these kids come and they see and they check out just the facilities at Oregon, number one, the coaching staff, you know, this year and in a couple of years prior to with Lanning has just gone to the next level. So why would you not want to come to Eugene?
Well, the attention that atmosphere is getting now, we're just like, it's been like this for a while, fellas, but now, you know, everybody else is seeing that. But I find myself now, at least I didn't find the Big House all that noisy and listened to on TV. You could hear the roar of the crowd for a little bit and stuff. Yeah. I listened to Penn State. That crowd, that got loud. Yeah. I was just like, okay, they were raining it down on Ohio State, and Ohio State said, I don't care, I'm still going to punch you in the mouth. And that was an impressive win, man.
Yeah, it was. So going back to Maryland, you know, you look at the stats, and they look good on the paper. What's the deal on the field? You know, their quarterback is 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 2,800 yards. They've got the leading receiver in the Big Ten it's Tay Felton, I believe his name is, with 900, almost 1,000 yards of receiving. So what's causing them to lose these games?
Red zone. Can't get it into the end zone. I mean, really, that's pretty much it. If you can't score, you can go anywhere between the 20s you want to, but if you can't score, it's indicative of a losing record. And so I think that's what's going on. And,
Yeah.
I mean, you chalk that up to the coaching staff.
Well,
I
then
mean,
you look at their defense, not so good. So where their offense is pretty good, their defense, I think, is like 107th in pass yards allowed, 80th, I think, in rushing yards allowed. So they're getting a lot of yards, but they're giving up a lot of yards. And so I think you're right. You know, you can't get it into the end zone, but then if you can't stop the other team, and they can, there you sit at 4-4.
Yeah, that's a that's a losing battle.
Yeah. So, I think this weekend will be a good, nice game for the Ducks to kind of reset. You know, losing Tez and losing the linemen. You don't have to go out there. We can get up to a nice, comfortable lead and then get some backups in there and get those guys some playing time.
So I would say 35-7 at halftime, and then we just kind of let loose and maybe get a field goal.
Yeah. Well, that's the other issue. Where's the Ducks offense in the third quarter?
I know. They come out. It's just it was awful. I mean, you run the ball up the middle 3 times. I mean, what is that? Then give the ball back, and that's the dumbest thing that you could ever do. You need to keep the pedal on the metal. Let's drill these guys, because one more score and then it is over, and you don't have to worry really about anything coming back, especially with the defense that the Ducks have.
Well, yeah, gosh, it's so frustrating to see that too, because we've been really good at adjustments in the past. It just seems like, I don't know, if you got that big of a lead, you go into the halftime, do you not? What's up? You still got to go out and perform in that second half.
Yeah.
And it's just like, are we in kill the clock mode? I mean, that's a lot of time to kill coming out of halftime, and it's just like, come on, guys. It's just, even the on-field reporter asked him about it. You've got a third quarter. I didn't say it was a third quarter problem. It's an opportunity or something like that. You can't remember what he said.
Yeah,
about it.
and they asked him about it again in the post game, and he was like, "Yeah, we're going to look at it, but we won, so it's not really a problem, is it? We won." So
Yeah, but it could be a problem coming down the road, especially when
be,
you get
to
into the
better
playoffs.
teams.
I mean, you've got to really. Why wouldn't you have the same playbook that you would have just coming out at the beginning of the game? Because that makes a lot of sense to me. You're going out, everything's going on all cylinders, and you come out in the third quarter and you just lay an egg in the first series that you get. I mean, that's an
I tell
opportunity.
you, watching that Ohio State-Penn State game, Chip Kelly's offense coming out of halftime, those guys just rolled right down the field and scored. And it was just like, that is the way you come out of halftime.
Well, and last year and this year, the middle 8, right? Middle 8 is what Lanning. That's his thing. We need to win the middle 8. So the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. Last year, they won the middle 8 more often than not. They would come out at halftime, Bo Nix would march them right down the field, touchdown. This year, it's like we're hungover from halftime. I don't know.
And those
Put
last
the juice
4
box
minutes of the
down.
half have been terrific. I was going to say phenomenal, but I didn't want to ring the bell again. But those last 4 minutes, I know, I said it
Thought
anyway.
counts, Jared.
But it's the other 4 minutes coming back out that is just.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I don't either. All right, sweet Jerry Harris and Brandon Haynes, Jeff Morgan here with you, Raining Ducks, both on YouTube and KYKN and KYKN.com. So again, thank our sponsors, Capital Nissan, Advantage Heating and Air and Electrical, Green Acres Landscape, GA at Home. Appreciate them. Mid-Valley Media. Couldn't do it without John Stroud. Thank you very much for putting this thing together for us. And so we're looking forward to the Maryland game. What time's that kickoff? Is that 4:30?
4 or 4:30.
Yeah, 4:30.
It's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. They all just blend together anymore. I mean, we've got either 4 or 4:30, and then we have 4:30 again when we head out to Wisconsin, which you're going to be there
I
at
will be
Camp
there.
Randall. So that's going to be a heck of a game. I think realistically, I'm not even going to say that should be our last test, because the Huskies are coming in here on the 30th after the Ducks have a bye week on the 23rd weekend. And so we're looking forward to the final 3 games of the season, and really Ducks should be undefeated and heading into a Big Ten championship in theory.
Yeah.
So you never want to jinx yourself, because you know how that goes sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny. Brandon and I were having a conversation on the drive over. We were talking about some of the idiocy that we see in chat rooms and stuff. And one of the big things this past week was, if Indiana's undefeated and if Penn State is undefeated and if Oregon's undefeated, we might not go to the championship game and stuff. And I'm just like, come on, jeez. I enjoy those chat rooms, but my gosh, some of them are really starting to wear on me now.
Yeah.
Some of the same old. And I'm just like, just win, baby, just win. That's my response every time I saw that. And I go, you know what? Well, yeah, but even if we win, then you control what you can control.
Exactly.
And boom.
Wins take care of
2
themselves.
days later, from me saying just win, baby, Penn State just loses.
Yeah.
Well, that's the head-to-head. I mean, Ohio State. I mean, really, the Big Ten championship goes through Ohio State, and that's just the way it's going to be. It's either Indiana knocking off Ohio State or Ohio State and Oregon, taking it on again. What is that? December 6th, I believe it is. I think it's on a Saturday. But yeah, so I mean, all roads lead through Ohio State or Oregon, depending on how you look at that. But yeah, I mean, the whole Indiana, when you play each other, someone's going to lose. It's weird how that happens.
Yeah, weird. I hope Indiana beats Ohio State just because I want to play them this year. I don't want to hear any of the, oh, well, you didn't get to play Indiana. We probably would have beat you. None of this.
Well,
I want to play them.
when you get into the playoffs, that very well may happen. Although, so if the Ducks win out and then they win the Big Ten championship game, then they're going to be number one and they get a bye and they play the either 8 or 9 seed, whoever wins that game. So I guess that would be in the Rose Bowl, possibly.
That would be in the Rose Bowl.
Do you see the importance of conference championship games
Heck yeah.
going away?
Yeah, you don't want them to go away.
I mean, well, do you or don't you? I'm just thinking about how many games you have to play now. I mean, it's great for the fans, and it's so much fun to watch championship games. But with 18 teams in the Big Ten,
right?
With 18 teams in there, they did away with the conferences, so you're not playing, against the other, conference, the other division, whatever
Right.
it is. So they're just the two best teams. You may have already played, and in this case, it's likely that Ohio State and Oregon would have that rematch. Last year we had the rematch with Washington. We wanted that thing so bad, and
Yeah.
We got drilled again.
darn it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we didn't
Very
get drilled,
similar
but
game,
Yeah, super similar.
But I'm just thinking, well, is it really necessary now that, because before I thought it was really necessary to state your case for being that
When it was a 4-team playoff.
4-team,
Yes.
beat to get into one of those 4. Now you got 12, and I love the chaos of football. That's why I love people are gonna lose. I mean, it's college football. Any given Saturday, somebody's gonna lose.
Right.
So I just wonder about those conference championships if they are necessary now. Is it just a revenue producer?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
that's kind of what it is. You don't need that anymore to get into that 12-team playoff. I don't
Correct.
think.
Well,
I
that puts
agree
you
with
at
that.
16 or 17 games that you're playing throughout the season, or maybe one more. So that's a lot of football when considering 13 used to be the max.
Right.
Actually, it used to be like 12. So
Yeah.
now we're taking it to another level, and it's going to go all the way till almost the end of January now. So football starts in August and it ends in January, thus the Semi-Pro Football League.
I'm not complaining.
I'm not
I
either.
like having this
No,
much
I love it.
football.
I think it's great, and it's great when you have a good ball club that's undefeated, like the Ducks. So it's going to be good. So you can listen to our Tailgater show. It's going to be down at Autzen. You can stop by if you want to. If you're going to be out there, we're out in center field in the parking lot for the Tailgater show. Going to be a lot of fun. And so looking forward to another game. Number 1 Ducks taking on Maryland, and that's the show for today. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you then. Take care.
Ducks.